Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
Channing Tatum, and it's funny because this news is breaking. It's funny this news is breaking because we've talked before about the canceled Gambit project that Channing Tatum was attached to. Again, not in a video format. It's never been a topic, but while talking about other topics involving the X-Men, I've brought up that Channing Tatum was supposed to play Gambit and X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. But this is coming from the direct, so we'll just jump right into what they're saying here. The direct is saying Channing Tatum has opened up about his X-Men movie that was never made, and he pushes for Marvel Studios to adopt the project. Following Disney acquiring Fox, the question of when mutants will join the MCU in force and what the Marvel Studios version of the franchise will look like has dominated fan conversation. While audiences are still waiting for X-Men news, the same can be said for Channing Tatum, whose own X-Men spinoff was pulled off the slate in 2019. Now that Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine have crossed over into the MCU, Tatum has commented on his hopes for the revival of the card-wielding mutant. Then it goes on to say, when talking with Vanity Fair, Channing Tatum revealed that he's still interested in his X-Men movie based on Gambit and still calls Marvel every once in a while. Tatum and his producing partner Reed Caroline reportedly spent 4 years mapping out a described raunchy standalone Gambit film. And while Fox was expected to release Gambit in 2020, that all came to an end when, as the actor explained, it got swallowed up into Disney by way of Marvel when they bought Fox. As to why there's been no news on Marvel adapting his film, Tatum acknowledged that his Gambit was likely far from what Disney, wanted to do. This is Channing Tatum saying, and ultimately I just think that the tone of the movie we wanted to make was very far from what they wanted to do, or maybe they're waiting to see how they do it with us or without us. Lastly, while the Magic Mike star knows the odds are against his Gambit film, he confessed that he still calls Marvel every once in a while. We call every once in a while, but we've got the spiritual, emotional kind of mentally letting it go. So Channing Tatum, again, we've talked about that. Channing Tatum was rumored to be coming, or not rumored. Channing Tatum was supposed to be having his Gambit film that was taken off of the table when Marvel acquired the rights to Fox back in 2019. Now, this is also despite what you might personally think about Channing or about Tatum's acting, he's come a really long way as an actor, I would say. I think he's come a very long way, and he was crushed when he didn't get to do his Gambit film. A lot of people think that it was just, something that was rumored. It was just something that was in the talks. No, bro. Like, if you guys take yourselves back to SDCC 2017, I believe, Channing Tatum was on stage with Hugh Jackman. He was on stage with Ryan Reynolds because that was Fox announcing what the next, their next films that they were going to be doing in the Fox universe with the X-Men, and Gambit, Channing Tatum's Gambit was one of them. I'll go ahead and actually show this here. And this is from San Diego Comic-Con.
You have a camera?
Who's got a camera? Who's got the camera?
He doesn't have a camera. Does someone else have a camera?
Somebody's got to have a camera.
Oh, Channing Tatum is here and no have a camera.
Here we are.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Thank you. You have to hop into this picture.
All right. What's up? How y'all doing out there?
All right. Make it good. Remember, I'm watching.
Come here.
Yeah.
Get in. Okay.
Am I in?
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Focus on me.
All right, good. Wait, they want me to take one more here. I mean, this is epic. Here we go. Hey, you're hot too. Okay,
Take it off, Chris.
All right, I'm going to go over here. Please, no applause. All right, here we go. Here we go. These are my people. Here we go.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Excellent.
Now that's the way to end a panel.
You guys, thank you so
Good
much
work.
for coming to the 20th Century Fox panel. I have been Chris Hardwick. Take a few pictures, and we'll see you in the rest of the con. Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right, so a lot of people forget that actually happened. A lot of people forget that Channing Tatum showed up to San Diego Comic-Con in 2017 and was wearing the Gambit shirt, talked about Gambit after they got out on the red carpet and things like that. And now, just because that all that happened when it got canceled, taken off the slate in 2019 when Marvel acquired the rights to Fox, and due to that, he never got to do his Gambit film. Well, it seems like he might actually get the chance to be Gambit in Marvel, and not just as a cameo or anything like that, but actually possibly moving forward, maybe in the MCU. This is coming from CBR. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Ryan Reynolds wants Gambit to show up, or Channing Tatum's Gambit to show up in Deadpool 3. And again, with some of the things we know about Deadpool 3 and some of the things we know about Gambit, we don't really know why the TVA is going to be after Deadpool and Wolverine, other than that something has happened with them, messing with time or whatever. But who do we know? What do we know about Gambit? We know that Gambit himself is a thief. There could be something that happens to where, this version of Wolverine already knows Gambit, or maybe Deadpool has met Gambit, or or something like that, to where he's like, all right, I know someone that can help us with this, or I know someone that can help us with this task. And then you go get Gambit, and then now you got Gambit that's in the film as well. Maybe it's just a cameo, maybe it's something longer. Within the film, I'm not sure, but we do know that Ryan Reynolds wants him to show up as Gambit, and again, who better to do anything like that than Ryan Reynolds? Why? Because we know that him and Ryan Reynolds are already friends. We know that, Channing Tatum showed up in Free Guy. We also know that Channing Tatum would be able to handle the physicality of this role as well as the comedic chops I'm sure that it would take to be in a Ryan Reynolds type of Deadpool, to be in Deadpool 3. I'm sure there would be some type of comedic lines there coming from Gambit, coming from, I would love for Deadpool to make a Magic Mike joke or anything like that, a 21 Jump Street joke, my name's Jeff, something like that. I don't know, something like that. But we know that Channing Tatum can also handle the comedic side because of 21 and 22 Jump Street. We've seen him be comedic. We've seen him, his acting develop over time and things like that. So I think that he would have made a great Gambit, and he really wanted to do it. His Creole accent could have been definitely could have some work, but honestly, if you've heard him talk in the accent as Gambit, he does not sound bad. He has worked on, not only that, Channing Tatum grew up in Louisiana. He grew up in he grew up in Louisiana and Mississippi. Grew up in both. So he has those roots there, at least. So having that accent, at least from what I heard him talking, I feel like he would be able to kill a Gambit. He was talking about how he's practiced card tricks and different things like that. He's talked about how their Gambit was going to be a vastly different type of film than, as you just heard him say. Well, what I read there from the direct was that he didn't think that the Gambit that they wanted to do was going to be the Gambit that Disney, the mouse, was going to adapt. It definitely wasn't. After hearing some of the things that Channing Tatum has said about his version of Gambit, the things that not his version, but the raunchy film that they were going to do, it wasn't he said it wasn't going to be a typical superhero film because Gambit's not a typical superhero. He's not really a superhero. Yes, he's a part of the X-Men, but if you know Gambit, he's one of those I'm a hero when it suits me type of guys. I mean, yes, he's a good guy, but Gambit also has that gray area. So it's like hearing Channing Tatum talk about some of those things, what their film was going to be, I highly doubt it's anything that Marvel would have adapted. But you put Channing Tatum's Gambit in a Deadpool 3 film, then you're able to do that raunchier type of Gambit. You're able to do that feel that you wanted to do with Gambit. Again, maybe it is just for a cameo, because I still don't see that raunchy Gambit that he's wanting to do moving forward at the House of Mouse. I don't see Marvel bending the knee and allowing that. They allowed it with Ryan Reynolds because they wanted Deadpool in the MCU, and the only way Ryan Reynolds was going to do it is if he got to do it the same way he did it with Fox. So I don't really know if that's something that's going to be going on, but we do know that he wants him to be in Deadpool 3, and this is what CBR has to say about it. Deadpool 3 star Ryan Reynolds is reportedly hoping Channing Tatum will make a cameo. According to a report by reputable scooper Daniel RPK, the Wade Wilson actor is pushing for Tatum to appear in the Merc with the mouth's third blockbuster. Then it says the capacity to which Tatum could appear is currently unknown, but it's rumored that the Magic Mike star may feature as a character other than Gambit, which I don't think so. I think he's going to be Gambit, a role to which he's been attached for several years. Neither Reynolds nor Marvel Studios have responded to these rumors, and this is coming from Daniel RPK, where he said Ryan Reynolds has talked to Channing Tatum about being in Deadpool 3, even if it's not as Gambit. But I still think it's going to be as Gambit. These are just things that we kind of know here about. And I don't know if anybody has seen it, or if you guys, maybe you have seen it, maybe you haven't, but I'll go ahead and show you the fan art, at least there, that was done of Channing Tatum as Gambit. And after I saw the fan art, after listening to Channing Tatum himself talk about it, I think that he would have made a brilliant Gambit. It's definitely something he wanted to do. It was definitely something he put a lot of time and work into, as far as like he even said that they reworked the script a couple times. They reworked what they originally wanted to do, especially after they saw Logan and Deadpool. I think it was Deadpool, the first Deadpool. After they saw Logan in the first Deadpool, they were like, okay, so we need to up this. We need to make it more this. We need to make it more that. They wanted to play, again, more on that raunchier side of what they wanted this film to be. So I'll let you hear even what Channing Tatum had to say about it here.
We're very excited about Gambit.
Yeah.
Can you tell us where you are with the making of the film and what stages, and what can the audience be most looking forward to?
Yeah, we went and basically rebooted the entire thing. We were writing at a time, and we had a first draft that was really good, but we were trying to find a director that needed to take it to its next place. And then I think it was really at an interesting mark in the trajectory of the superhero movies that it was a bit of a paradigm shift, and we were trying to make something at a time and trying to do some different things, and we just kept running into doors. And then as soon as Deadpool and Logan came out, they just blasted through any problems or any barricades that we had up, so we're really gonna try to change it up now.
Have you got a lot of card tricks that you're going to be learning?
Oh, I'm sure there'll be all that fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of Gambit since I was a kid, so there's a lot of things that I've been looking forward to getting to do for a very, very long time. So I mean, I can't tell you all the good stuff just yet, but yeah.
I'm hoping for some fancy moves.
It shouldn't feel like a big superhero movie. That's my hope for it. It'll feel more like a very tiny sort of New Orleans, crazy, insane film.
And I really hate that he did not get to do this film. I hate that he didn't get to get out there and, do a project that he was passionate about and show, not like he said, it doesn't need to be a big, huge spectacle superhero film. He wanted it to be grounded in Louisiana, focused on Gambit and only Gambit, and I thought that would have been dope. Not only that, he understands and loves the character. As he has said before in another interview I heard him say, he says not like he grew up, he can't name all the X-Men, he can't do all that. He said, I didn't grow up, reading all the comics and things like that. He said, but when I did read, I read about Gambit and I fell in love with that character, and he said he's always loved that character ever since he was a child. So he was pretty sad, he was pretty hurt when he didn't get to do the film, when it was canceled, when it was pulled. So this is coming from Vanity Fair. This is actually coming from Variety on him being upset about what they were going to do. He said the version of Gambit resembled a tone of Deadpool and would have been rated R. Again, I wish we could have gotten this, because we're never going to get anything like that under the mouse. I don't see it. I could see them doing Gambit, but I don't see them doing it resembling the tone of Deadpool and would have been rated R. I don't see the mouse doing that. And it says, we wanted to make a romantic comedy superhero movie. Caroline says, the thesis was the only thing harder than saving the world is making a relationship work. And I'm wondering if that would have been Rogue, if they would have put Rogue in there, but I'm not really sure. And it says Caroline notes just how close they got. We were right on the 1 yard line, he says. We had the cast, the film, we'd opened up a production office. We were on our way to shoot in New Orleans, but after Disney merged with Fox, Gambit became a casualty of the corporate takeover in 2019. Disney had just gotten the X-Men from Fox, Carolina explained. I think they needed to redesign the X-Men from the ground up, and they're still redesigning the fucking X-Men from the ground up because, like I said, we've talked about this before. Nate Moore said they're in the early stages of bringing the X-Men into the MCU. Then it says Tatum was devastated when the movie fell apart. Once Gambit went away, I was so traumatized, Tatum said, adding that he swore off watching the Avengers. I shut off my Marvel machine. I haven't been able to see any of the movies. I love that character. It was just too sad. It was like losing a friend because I was so ready to play him. I wish they would have reconsidered because it's a pretty great project, Carolina says. Maybe someday. Tatum says he'd still portray the mutant if given the chance. Yeah, I'd love to play Gambit. I don't think we should direct it. I think that was hubris on our part. And he went on to say, too, that he also doesn't think that they would want him to direct it either. They would want someone else to come in, or want them, when I say him, I mean he and his team, to go about directing it. Obviously, that's not something Marvel would want. But, those are some of the things there going on. We know that, or at least with Gambit, Channing Tatum coming out here recently, just saying that he still wants to play the role. He's still devastated he didn't get to play the role. And some of these interviews are from, like 5 years ago of him talking about some of this stuff, and him still saying that he wants to play the role and things like that. And we also, with the rumor from Daniel RPK that he could possibly be showing up in Deadpool 3 as Gambit, even though some of the wording there is they're saying that he may not, even if he does not show up as Gambit is what they're saying. But I think if he does show up, with Ryan Reynolds knowing how much he wants to play Gambit, with him and Ryan Reynolds having a close friendship and things like that. Like I said, he did show up in Free Guy. You saw Ryan there, high-fiving him and rubbing him on the shoulders and things like that when he walked out on the SDCC stage. They obviously have a working relationship already. So with him knowing the desires of Channing's heart, knowing that he really wants to play this character, I really think that he probably did call Channing up and say, hey, bro, do you want to play that character? Do you want a cameo in Deadpool 3 as Gambit? And you can still do that raunchy version that you wanted to do, because the mouse ain't going to let you do that shit. But you come over here, do this film cameo, blah, 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 blah. You can do the Gambit you wanted to do. And then possibly, maybe even sit down with Marvel at a later date and discuss continuing on as Gambit in the future. I really don't know. I think that the possibilities of him showing up as Gambit in Deadpool 3, I'm going to go 50. I'm going to go 50% chance that he really does show up. Actually, I'm going to go 60% chance that he really does show up as Gambit in Deadpool 3. And this is the last thing I will show. This is Channing Tatum, also from SDCC.
Now, 2 years ago, I feel like I jinxed you because we had a lot of fun talking about Gambit. 2 years ago, we did like the whole audition practically. You flung cards in my head. It was all happening.
It was a good thing, though. It was a good thing. Thank you for jinxing us. Because I think we came out, we were making a movie, and we were trying to make a movie different, than what has, like I was saying earlier, than what has been coming out with these type of films. And I think it was the luckiest thing in the world that we had some bumps in the road. And I think the bumps in the road came specifically at a time that there was a paradigm shift in these movies, and we got to witness and learn from two really kind of beautiful change in guard of movies, with Logan and Deadpool. And
so now you have a license to kind of go do something a little bit more different.
They really did break some ground for us, and now we have to figure out what our version of that is, and not just try to go and do whatever that is. And it's fun. It's good. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube that's always moving. And these things, they're hard. They're tough.
Yeah, bro, he was excited about it. And the more and more I listen to him talk about it, the more and more, when you look at this image even, make sure that image is still up. But even when you look at this image here, or you're looking at, like I said, you're listening to him talk about it, it's just, I wish that would have been done. I would have enjoyed to see that raunchy version of Gambit. I would have enjoyed a rated R Gambit film centered in Louisiana with a romantic type of action film like that. You know, I think it would have been great, bro. And again, I think Channing Tatum deserves the chance to don the role. And it's not like it's out of the scope, because we've seen a lot of actors coming back from the Fox universe portraying these characters. You know, Anson Mount, even though he's not from the Fox universe, Anson Mount came back as Black Bolt. We've seen Sir Patrick Stewart coming back as Professor X. We've seen, and you know, we've got the rumor that Kevin Feige wants to do the farewell to the Fox universe that he didn't get to do, where he got his start under Bryan Singer on the X-Men films. That's where Kevin Feige got his start, and he wants to do a farewell to them, give them a proper goodbye. So with that, with Kevin Feige even knowing that Channing Tatum's Gambit was on the table, he could even say, hey, we still want to give you that proper goodbye. We want to have you coming in as Gambit, let you don the role, and then come in. Again, maybe with the possibilities of him continuing on in the future, but I'm not really sure. We'll have to see if he actually shows up in Deadpool 3 first. But as always, question is for you guys. Let us know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking about the Gambit stuff, the things going on with Channing Tatum and him still wanting to be Gambit. What are you thinking about the possibilities of him showing up in Deadpool 3, or the possibilities of him even sitting down with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige and company, and possibly continuing on as Gambit, actually getting to don that role? However, do you think that it can be what Channing Tatum and team wanted it to be under the mouse? I don't think so, but I leave that question to you. Let me know what you guys are thinking down below.